Frankenstein's Monster, Nurtured to Goodness, an alternate story by Chelsea Benavides. I was born a blank slate, tabula rasa, neither good nor evil, but capable of both. It was nurture that would enforce my nature. My creator is Victor Frankenstein, and some would call him the monster. It was in Ingolstadt that he infused in me a spark of existence. Terrified of what I was, he fled the room. A babe myself, I awaited his return, alone in this world the first hours of my being. I uttered cries of confusion, overwhelmed by the suddenty of existence. In those hours I wished only to see he who had brought me into this world. The next morning, Victor returned and brought with him his childhood friend, Henry Clerval. Henry was the foil of Victor, brave where Victor was cowardly, warm where Victor was cold. Henry did not strive to change the world as Victor did, but was concerned with the moral relation of things, or how to be a good person. It was through Henry's encouragement that Victor stayed to raise me, and fought the disgust within himself at what he had created, at me. But while Henry realized that appearance does not dictate character, Victor struggled to accept me. To him, I was simply the demoniacal corpse to which he had so miserably given life. As I surpassed the mindset of a child into that of an adolescent, and arrived at the mentality of an adult in a matter of months, I became more of a person, though every day Victor was forced to look at me, he saw me as less of one. Victor's angst came to a culmination one day when he arrived home, accompanied by a man from the local authorities. "What is he doing here, Victor?" Henry asked, voice cautious but protective as he stood in front of the door to the laboratory that had become my chambers. I could hear him from the other side, protecting me, as was his good moral nature to do so. "Step aside, Henry." Victor sounded exhausted, exasperated. "The good Officer Deutsch is only here to help me transport the creature." He stumbled over the word he deemed to be a kindness to me. "Transport him where?" Henry asked. "Another university, one that caters to my type of work. They're interested in my successful experiment." That was all I stayed to hear. I grabbed my hooded cloak and fled through a back door. My first thought was to convince Herr Deutsch not to help Victor, to prove I was worth saving, a good creature. I followed Deutsch home. I waited for him to leave the house again, but instead watched his little girl leave first to collect berries by the stream near their house. I continued to wait for Herr Deutsch. Suddenly I heard a scream. I don't know what instinct inside of me took over, but I ran toward the sound of a cry that pulled at my heart. I came upon the stream to see the girl drowning. I did not hesitate. I jumped into the water and struggled against the current to pull her to safety. Once on the shore, I laid the girl on the ground and pumped the water from her chest, a procedure Henry had taught me. She was senseless, and I endeavored by every means in my power to restore animation when I was suddenly interrupted. "Get away from her," a harsh voice cried. He had a weapon I knew nothing about pointed at me. The girl breathed back to life. "Father, what are you doing? He saved me." "He's a monster," Deutsch replied. "How can he be? He saved my life." "Look at him," Deutsch instructed. "He has the look of evil. You cannot understand, child." "But father, his actions have showed him to be good, even if we would not know it by looking. Aunt Inga burnt her face in that terrible fire, but you told me we must not judge her because she was different to look at. You said we must still treat her with love and kindness because that is what still lay behind her scarred features." Perhaps you are right, child. Perhaps I have been too hasty to listen to Victor Frankenstein. "I wish harm to no one," I told him. "Henry is teaching me of the world, of the ways to be a good person. Thank you for saving my daughter. I will be forever in your debt." He paused. "I think I should tell you that you should leave Ingolstadt forever. Frankenstein has other plans for you, my friend. Henry, he can help you escape, because if I don't help Frankenstein, he'll find another." Deutsch extended his hand to me, as if I were a person, and I shook it. Thank you both. It seems it is often the words of children who help us to see clearest, without prejudice." "You'll be okay, won't you?" the little girl asked, taking my hand in hers. "I hope you will be." "I will now, thanks to you." I smiled at her, and she handed me a flower she had picked earlier. I placed it in my pocket to remember her by. I am heading home now. I do not know what lies ahead. I hope to convince Victor that he did not create me with an evil nature, but rather I have been nurtured to good by his own friend, Henry.